Hey, this month I've been talking about your gift. If you haven't seen the first two podcasts, I encourage you to go back and listen to them, watch them, or get this new series, brand new series on your gift. Now, I want you to be convinced, number one, you have a gift that God has given you. 1 Corinthians 7:7 tells us that each man has his own gift from God. One has this gift, another has this gift. You have something unique, something special that God has put on the inside of you. And gifts are all different. Sometimes when we think about a gift or a talent, we automatically think of those ones that are in front of people, the singers, the athletes, the musicians. But there are other gifts that God has given us. In fact, I met a lady last year in Arkansas who has this gift to decorate Christmas trees. Now, some people would be like, that's not a gift. Anybody can decorate a tree. I don't agree with that because decorating is not my specialty. But listen to this. This lady was just telling me, she said, I don't know, I just like decorating trees and it just comes easy to me. And she's amazing at it. I mean, the trees are magnificent. Well, all her friends would see the trees and be like, you are so gifted at that. Would you come decorate my tree? And then they'd even say, I'll pay you to come decorate my tree. And she's like, really? I mean, just put the ornaments on. But it turned into her coming up with this full-fledged business of decorating Christmas trees. She makes tons of money. She was telling me all about it. She opened up her own store. She goes in and sets the trees up for people, decorates them, takes the ornaments off, puts the tree up. I wonder if she'll come to Texas. But think about that. That's a gift. And you would think, that's stupid, that's not a gift. Yes, it is. And you know, the Bible says your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. It also says your gift will prosper you. It's prospering her. We all have gifts and talents that so many times we just don't even think of them as a gift. You know, I read a book by a lady named Julie Morgenstern, who I highly recommend her books, on organizing from the inside out and time management from the inside out. This lady used to be messy, disorganized, and always late for things. Like she just didn't have things together. Now, once she got her act together, she realized, you know what? I have a gift at this. She actually turned this negative thing into this gift that now she teaches people how to organize their homes, how to organize their lives, has turned it into this massive business. She's a New York Times best-selling author. But think about that. You could be like, organizing, that's not a gift. Anybody can organize a dresser drawer. No, they can't. God has given you certain gifts that a lot of times you just don't see them as gifts. I was thinking about how sometimes when a student brings home a report card, you go down the list and you see all these A's, and then all of a sudden there's one C. Math, got the C. Which one of these subjects do you think is going to get the most attention? Probably the lowest score, the math grade. And so many times that's what we do in our own lives. We put so much emphasis on our weak areas, on the things that we're not that good at, and we spend our lives trying to develop these weaknesses into strengths, and then we end up neglecting the areas where we're strong. That is just so common and so typical. If I were to ask you, what are your strengths? It could take you some time to really think about it. But if I said, what are your weaknesses? What are you not so good at? Boy, the list comes out. And I understand, because instantly I could tell you my flaws, my weaknesses. But I want you to stop focusing on those weak areas and begin to put emphasis in the areas where you are strong. What are some of those comments you've heard from people where people may have said, man, she is so good at that. What is it? Or he is so good at that. I heard Joyce Meyer say, she said, confident people do not concentrate on their weaknesses. They develop and they maximize their strengths. She said, for example, on a scale of 1 to 10, I could be a level 3 at playing the piano, a level 3. But if I was to take piano lessons, practice for hours every day, and really try to develop that skill, maybe with a lot of work, I could get up to a level 5. And that would be really pushing it, level 5. However, as a public speaker, I may naturally just be an 8. I can get up in front of people and I can communicate, and it really doesn't take me that much effort. And if I were to really practice and develop that gift, maybe I could become a level 10. Well, she said, the world is not hungry for mediocrity. We don't need a bunch of 4s and 5s running around. She said, the world needs 10s, and I believe everybody can be a 10 at something. But the problem is, often we work so much on trying to overcome our weaknesses that we never develop our strengths. Well, God has given you a gift, and I want you to develop it, discover it, and then educate yourself in that area. Whatever it is, do the homework and become a 10 at it, become a 9 at it. Do something to develop the gift that's on the inside of you. Some of those gifts are just natural. You know, I heard a story recently. I was reading this story about a guy named Amos who, at 12 years old, it said that his parents divorced and neither one of his parents wanted him, and he went to live with his aunt up in Manhattan. And one day he walked into the kitchen and he smelled this delicious smell, and his aunt was making these cookies. Well, she started teaching him how she made these cookies. And she was putting some kind of ingredients in there that nobody else was putting in cookies. I don't have a clue what that would be. And she said that, you know, this is the way I make these cookies. People rave over these cookies. Well, he just caught on to it. And he began playing around with her recipes and adding other ingredients. And it just came natural to him. It says he was naturally gifted at making these cookies. Well, he grew up, went on to college, and he became very interested in the music and acting industry. And from what I heard, he wanted to be an agent. He wanted to represent actors or musicians or be involved in that type of industry. Moved out to California, went to work, and he began, you know, getting better jobs, but then it said how he kept thinking, well, what do I have that will help me get my foot in the door so I can get before these, you know, great musicians and represent them as an agent? What do I have that's going to get me in front of them? And then he thought, my cookies. My cookies beat everybody else's cookies. So he just began boxing up his cookies and sending them to these potential clients. Well, the assistants, the secretaries, they began eating these cookies and telling the actors and musicians about them. They began raving over these cookies. And they thought, you know, get in touch with this guy and get some more cookies. So he said, well, I'll send you more cookies if you give me 5 minutes of your time. So they gave him 5 minutes of their time. So he sat before these people with the cookies, and he began representing, from what I read, he began representing people like Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross, the Supremes, Simon and Garfunkel, all these amazing musicians. And the way he got his foot in the door was with his cookies. Well, as time went on, several of them began talking and saying, you know, your cookies are pretty amazing. We think you need to open up a cookie store. He said, a cookie store? There's no money to be made with a cookie store. They said, with your cookies, there's money to be made. So they began helping him by investing money into him, $5,000 here, $10,000 here. From what I heard, Marvin Gaye gave him $25,000 to help him start his first cookie store. He opened his first cookie store, made tons of money. Next year began making millions of dollars. That was the beginning of the famous Amos cookies. Think about it. He got his gifting right. Something that just became, that was so natural to him. It was so easy for him to make cookies. That's not easy for me. But that was a gift that he had. He developed that gift. He stirred up that gift. And what did it do? It brought him before great men, and it prospered him. I'm not saying every one of us are going to be multimillionaires, but God has given you a gift that should take care of you, that should bring wealth into your life to take care of you and your family. God has given you a gift that should bring joy into your life, bring you before great men and women of God. I want you to get this message if you want to learn more about how to discover that gift that God's given you. There's some practical ways you can discover it just by asking your friends, looking in your childhood. I give you all kinds of tips. But then there's spiritual application of you seeking God and finding out, Lord, what is it? What is it you want me to discover about me so that I do what you've called me to do during my time here on earth? So I want to thank you for watching this week, and I'm believing that you are going to discover your gifts, stir up that gift that God has put on the inside of you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.